Oh yeah. So you were talking to somebody. Tell me about this epiphany you had about subject two.
I was watching those videos that you recommended, and it was finally like the light bulb finally went off for me in terms of how you make this deal happen, why somebody would want to do it. And what I realized is, it's really for the desperate seller who really could care less that they still have the mortgage or note in their name.
They don't care.
But I didn't understand why somebody would not care. And then I realized there's plenty of reasons people would not care. They just need to move on. But I think until you kind of pay attention or expose yourself to these alternative creative ideals, you don't know what you don't know. That makes sense.
Well,
so I love it.
Live. We're live right now, but go ahead. So you got your attorney brain.
I did. Yes. Yeah. For me, the issue is making sure that the seller understands that they're still, this line of credit is still connected to them, so it's really important that while the buyer is the one probably asking me to come on board and use their documents and do all that, ethically, if the seller's not using an attorney of their own, I have to make sure that they really understand what they're signing. And if they're on board with it, that's great.
Yeah, who are you to tell me or anybody what they want? Yeah, right?
Right, exactly. And that's the biggest thing I learned, is to listen to what the seller's needs are.
Billy, a dog's walking by. I gotta close the blinds. Billy, get back here. I'm so sorry, Jessica.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's real life. It's one of those things where, you have to listen to what the seller's needs are. And maybe they just need money to move. Maybe they just need, maybe they got a job in some other city and they just can't carry both. Who are we to question what their motivation is? We're just providing a service.
So I know today we're talking about contract contingencies, but I want to go in your mind and speak for you. Maybe are we talking about disclose?
Yes. So my role as an attorney is different than if I'm just the buyer investor, right? I have no obligation, ethical or otherwise, to make sure the seller understands what he's doing if I'm just a buyer investor, right? But if I'm coming in as the attorney, ethically, I need to make sure that this person, because, right, who's my client in this situation? I have to make sure my client understands what they're signing. And if I'm representing both of you, really need to make sure, from my perspective, that the seller understands they're still on the hook for this mortgage or note. I don't want there to be any confusion. Like, they're transferring the deed, but they're still on the mortgage, and they need to understand the risks associated with that. And your forms are great. I mean, you spell it out right in your forms.
Your boy tried his best. Your boy tried his best.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Well, Jay, the thing is, for me, we passed the burden of in my opinion, in my experience, on a subject to class. We're going to get to the contingency, but we have attorney Jessica Segal with us today. I want to pass that burden on to you, being the expert and the person with the fiduciary duty to explain this stuff to the seller. Because you already said it. Why do I care?
Right. Absolutely. It's the lawyer's job. And I highly recommend anybody wanting to do this, find a lawyer that understands the concept and is willing to do it, because most traditional run-of-the-mill real estate closing attorneys haven't heard of it, don't know it about it, and they're just going to tell you no, they don't do it. It's just because something they've never heard of. And so I had to actually do some research. I had to figure out what it was. How does it work? What's my role in it? And now I'm like, great, let's do it. I mean, the work really is finding the seller willing to do it, right? Because it's like not everybody's willing to do this.
Mhm.
So if you find that seller, that's where all your work as the buyer is. You got to find that motivated seller. Now you have that attorney you can turn to and say, here, I need a title. I need this. Let's meet in your office, sign documents.
That is
And
so
yeah,
cool.
some of it may be done virtually. You can do things now with Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's physically too ill to come to your office, and
Yeah.
so there's all kinds of scenarios, but the lawyer has to make sure that the person is of sound mind, they know what they're doing, they know what they're signing, all of those important things.
That's what I like about the attorney aspect of it. Is like, listen,
Hmm.
because a year later, when Mama Joe comes back and says, "You showed me this house and kept my name on the loan, you conniving little no good for
Yes,
nothing." Then we just pick up the phone, we say Segal Law Firm, send a letter to the new attorney that's suing me. When the new attorney sees it, they can see the Segal Law Firm close the whole deal,
right,
problem goes away.
right, right.
So, yes, thank you, Jessica. Now this could be, all right, last thing for me. I know, golly, so much. Are you gonna do these, or are you not gonna? Because I'm like, this is so niche. I feel like it could just be a powder keg.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm definitely going to do them. Definitely. In
Oh,
fact, one of your listeners actually lives local to me in New York. We've already spoken. We're going to figure out how to get it done between your forms and me as
nice.
the attorney. He's on the hunt now for his motivated seller.
Oh, wow, this is so cool, Jessica.
Yeah.
I bring real value to the community, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, class. Thank you for coming to Attorney Time every Friday. Usually we're hanging out around 3. Jessica had an appointment today, so I had to once again get her in the headlocks and do all this stuff.
Thanks for waiting for me. Yeah.
Class, we're going to go over contract contingencies today. And at the end, my favorite part, Q&A, and my mission to raise your financial literacy
Yeah.
through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. Jessica has agreed to go over some contract contingencies. Her attorney brain has all these wires going on up here. She wants to protect you when you're making offers. And I got a whole bunch I want to run by you. Jessica, you want me to go first, or you want to go
Yeah.
first?
No, you go first.
So my brain is thinking that a lot of people out there are paralyzed. They don't want to make an offer because they're like, I'll tell you, I've heard this, I don't know how many times.
Yes.
What if I can't close, or if I'm wholesaling it, what if I can't find a buyer? Oh God, I got
Yes.
guns in my head.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
I
the
mean,
real.
that's the real risk so what happens is when you sign that contract, you have to make sure that you don't have a huge risk exposure. So how much down payment is required, and what is your window to close that deal? So for somebody who's looking to wholesale, especially if you don't have somebody lined up or you don't have a big pool of buyers, you want to make sure you limit your loss risk. So small down payment.
Mhm.
That's definitely one way to protect yourself.
So even that, let me just start this. I'll just start with one I have here, Jessica. I wanted to find out do you do termite inspections out there? You have termites?
So it's not a big issue where we are. But it's definitely something I noticed in your document. If you live in a region of the country where that's a known problem, you're going to want that in there. And a big one is mold.
Yes.
So, I mean, termites, of course, or any sort of pest issue you can have
Yeah.
as your contingency if that's found.
Yeah.
Or definitely we deal with a lot of mold. So
Okay.
you can have a contingency that basically says this deal is subject to clear title, no infestation of insects, no mold, any of the things specific to your area of the country.
Gotcha. All right, let me read the first one here. So many of them.
Now, do you put specifically the termites in yours because your area is known for termites?
Well, I believe that if you're looking at the United States, right, I think there's a certain line where if it's above, then it's like no issue, not really. But if it's below, then it's just a big deal, you know?
Okay.
I don't know where that line is. I think it's right below Jersey, but I'm not sure, you know?
Okay.
and I know Minnesota because I lived in Minnesota for 3 years. They don't even know what a termite is.
Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't get warm enough for them to breed or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
But yet mine is like termite here is what we call it moisture slash termite.
Okay.
So we've got a moisture issue, and that's one here. Has seller shall provide a termite and moisture damage report from a licensed pest control operator no more than 10 days after the initiation of this contract. But the buyer shall pay for report. So you're saying,
Yes.
yeah, I want to be able to buy it. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, the buyer is going to pay for anything that's for their benefit. So whether it be pest inspection or a home inspection, if you want to know what the condition of the property is, all of those things buyer is going to pay, because seller could care less. That's not their issue, it's yours.
Yeah, they don't care.
And the only time it's really not going to come up is if you're buying it as is. Like if you're buying the house as is, then you're not going to need those contingencies.
Well, I tell people it's as is still, Jessica, but it's in the paperwork. I mean, I want it to be like, because I don't want, say I get it under contract, right? Then I find the shit's falling down. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I'm like, look, this termite came in. I still put it in here subject to either way.
Okay.
Because we buy them as is. What do you think about that? I don't know.
Hey, listen, if they're willing to sign that, that's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, you want to put in anything that gives you an out from this deal.
Gotcha. Okay. Another one I want to run by you was upon any default of this agreement by the buyer, me, seller shall retain the earnest money as sole remedy without further recourse between the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You definitely want that in there. And that's why you're going to want to try and negotiate a very small nominal down payment, right? Or deposit rather. And almost every contract is going to have that, right? You want that in there to protect you. Some sellers, and this is where the subject to is different, like a typical buy-sell agreement, the seller's attorney might cross that contingency out because they want to be able to go, if let's say you put a very, $200 down.
Yeah.
They want to go, they want to, and you tie up this contract for 4 months and then it falls through, they're going to want a higher remedy. So, but with the subject to, the buyer has all the upper hand. So that's when you would put that contingency in.
So when you say remedy, Jessica, remedy could mean what from A to Z? Give us what that remedy could be.
Right. So remedy could be large sums of money that they've lost for various reasons. Really, I mean, there could be any number of reasons. Maybe they couldn't then move to their house and they lost their deposit on the house they were moving to, or they missed out on a job opportunity because they couldn't move, or whatever.
Wow.
I mean, it could be anything.
Wow.
So you want to limit their recovery to as little as possible. Because let's say also maybe you're seasonal, right? And so they were really hoping to sell it, or you were hoping to, have it as like a seasonal rental, and it didn't work out that way. So you want to try and get out of it. And then they lost out on the seasonal rental opportunity, so there's all kinds of things. So try and keep the deposit small.
Well, I don't necessarily, I do want to make sure that they come after me for the deposit only, but I'm saying, I've got coaching clients where seller wants to sue them for not buying it, Jessica.
Yeah, I mean, there's something called specific performance, right? So see, here's the thing. So you have that initial offer and the offer is accepted. And then you have typically like 30 days to sign the contract, right? And then the contract is going to have all these contingencies in it. So yes, if you sign a contract and you commit to buying this property and you don't, the seller can sue you for what's called specific performance of the contract. I want my money.
Yeah.
So you want to remove that ability from them.
That's real, man. People, I want my viewers to know that That stuff, it depends on what type of a-hole seller you're dealing with. Could be somebody that money is not an issue. They just want to make a point.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the other way too. I have a client who signed a contract to buy a piece of property. They wanted to rehab it and flip it. And the seller was in the middle of a divorce. There was just ongoing things. They wouldn't sign off on it. And they basically are like, we don't want to go forward with this deal anymore.
Wow.
And the buyer wants me to sue for a specific performance. Like, no, you agreed to this price. The fact that you're no longer getting divorced or no longer want to sell the property is not my problem. Like, we had a deal and you have to get out.
Wow.
And so we're going to work it out and it'll work out. But,
so you're doing that right now? That's something
I'm doing that right now. Yeah.
So the seller changed their mind.
Seller changed their mind. Seller is agreeing to basically give my client buyer a settlement to go away.
Really?
Yeah. Rather than sell the property, they're going to pony up some money to make everybody happy.
Wow. This real estate ain't no joke, Jessica.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I see all the time, fixing problems.
Wow. I'm just shocked on that one. That's why I always do 100%. I do a memorandum of contract, Jessica, on every one of my deals. Matter of fact, here's one we got right here. I get this memorandum signed.
And what does the memorandum say?
It just says, seller, got a contract with buyer Chris Haskins, or what my trust. And then we can record this at the courthouse if they start getting funny, just like your guy right here.
Oh, yes, we do that too in New York. Yeah. So, and also so that they can't turn around and sell it to somebody else.
I'm telling you, this shit happens every day, Jessica.
Yes.
Oh, well, you know this stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
You get your memorandum class. You better get your deal insurance. If you need it, just email me. I'll send you a copy.
And actually, that's how my buyer found out, because somebody else wanted to buy the deal. They did a title search and found my buyer had recorded their contract. So seller was trying to sell it to somebody else for more money at one point, or they'd want to stay in it. So yeah, it's the recording. You can record the contract at your county clerk's office.
Yeah, you can record the contract. What we do, we just do a memorandum. It's just,
So do you pay a small fee for that?
Yeah, it's $25. But if you record the contract, you got to make sure you get the contract notarized. Are you getting the contract notarized up there?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. That's serious.
Yeah, like the attorney's going to do that. The attorney's going to prepare the contract, notarize it, file it in the clerk for you.
So you're doing real estate at a whole nother level when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, contract shall be contingent upon a satisfactory inspection from buyer.
Yeah, I mean, that's so vague. That totally works in your favor, right? And it typically says like, and I can get out of this contract for any reason whatsoever, is basically what that says. If your seller is willing to do that, so be it.
Well, I want to know your opinion on this stuff. That's why you get paid. What are you thinking? I put it in there.
So it would depend. Yeah, because if I'm the buyer, I want that. If I'm the seller's attorney, I'm not letting my client sign that. Right? We're going to spell out what satisfactory means, But perfect example, if you're buying it subject to, and seller has no attorney of their own, and you put in a contingency like that, you're basically giving yourself a reason to back out for any reason whatsoever. You can walk in there and say, nope, the paint is blue. I don't like it. I'm not buying this deal. So it gives buyer complete upper hand. If seller has an attorney, listen, it depends. If it's such a motivated seller, they don't care. They know this deal is going to go through. If it's a homeowner who's trying to make sure that this sale closes so they can move on to another house, their attorney's not going to want something so vague.
Well, we're talking about in our interaction, Jay, we're talking about investor stuff. All that homeowner to homeowner stuff. I don't even live in that world.
Okay.
On the buy side, on the buy side, we're talking about strictly for our investor audience that
Okay.
want to put stuff on the contract.
Yeah.
Probably not. Subject twos, we always close those out. I mean, that's not even going to be a question. I'm just talking about buying investor properties and or getting them under contract to wholesale. That's all.
Yeah. Well, so everything you're doing is so one-sided, right? Which is great. If you can get the seller to sign off on it, God bless you.
So I know you have some. What would you like to include? I've put a few here. Tell me some of the ones that you like on the buy side.
Yeah, the biggest thing is clear title. I'm not closing this deal unless you can provide clear title. And so the buyer is going to pay for that title search, but you want to make sure that they even legally can sell you what they have. And also keep in mind if it's like an estate sale, right? So if let's say somebody's died and now family is trying to unload the property, you want to make sure that they even have the authority to sell that property to you.
You might not even be dealing with the person that has any power.
That's right.
That happens frequently in my world.
Yeah. Right? Because depending on the type of deed you get, you're only getting whatever they legally can give you. Right? So I want to see a deed that has warranties in it, that shows clear title.
Yeah.
If they're just like a quick claim deed, has absolutely no warranty in it, you're basically just getting what they have. You have no clue what you're really getting.
Yeah.
So that would be my thing. If you know for a fact that it's the owner is deceased and it's an estate, you want to see letters of, basically the court documents that show they're authorized to sell the property, whether it be a trustee, an executor, something.
Okay. Yeah, we would definitely, obviously we have to get clear title. So clear title is a good way to protect ourselves and just in case something happens. What else you got? Clear title.
So, honestly, I feel like for me, we've touched on the most important ones for me as an attorney. And, so it's going to be a home inspection. It's going to be a pest inspection, clear title. Those are the three, big things from my perspective. So, but that's coming from the legal side. From the investor side, what else do you think?
Well, yeah, subject to partners' approval. This contract is subject to partners' approval.
You mean like a JV partner?
Whatever the hell partner I wanted to be approval. Shit, whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
I can't comment on that because I don't. Listen. You can draft it however you want it if they're willing to sign it.
Okay.
Are you saying like you're putting that in there so if your partner doesn't want to sign off on it, you can get out?
I'm saying I got clients all around the country, right, that are scared to death to make offers, Jessica.
Okay.
I want some support from you to put as much language in there to say, listen, even if you go out here and screw it up, we can try to help you so you won't get your behind sued. That's why my goal is to try to help people get over the hump of being scared to make an offer, Jessica, because they don't know. I got clients that they're so terrified to make an offer because they get it under contract and they're like, what if what if my money doesn't come through, or what if I can't wholesale, or so many things going through their heads.
Okay, so I know I'm a very conservative person. Okay,
I know that.
So I personally don't engage in wholesaling because that would stress me out to not know if I have a buyer to flip it to not know if I'm going to have the money to close on it or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to suggest that somebody who is more conservative or has what I call like analysis paralysis, right? They're so afraid to make an offer because they're not sure. Don't do that type of investing, like work on a deal when you have to do your homework ahead of time. You have to line up your hard money ahead of time, or you have to know that you're going to be able to close that deal, or have an email list full of buyers in your area that want wholesale deals. Like, you have to have those steps in place first before you throw your hat in there. That being said, I always tell, like, don't be afraid to make an offer. Like, just go for it. Because the best way to learn is to actually do it. And once you've actually done it, then you figure out what are the complications that could come up along the way. If you just stand on the sideline the whole time, you never know. But if you're like, listen, I'm going to get this deal done. Here's my offer. If you're concerned you might not be able to come through on the back end, you just start making phone calls, right? You just start talking to people, go to your real estate investors association, talk to your brokers. How can I unload this property? Put it on Facebook. Somebody will always buy it, right? Or if your financing can't come through or somebody backed out, there's so many free groups on Facebook. Offer it up there, or your community. If you got to get past that fear, or you're in the wrong business.
Well, that's why I enjoy talking to you, because you're conservative. I'm like, put the shit on the contract and go find the money.
Yeah, I agree. I agree to a certain extent. I'm the opposite. And I'll tell, like, even today, I have a call at 5:00 with somebody who does private money mortgages. I don't have any deal under contract. I'm meeting with him now so that I'm confident he's going to give me money. What are his terms? So now I'm going to go look for that deal.
I got you.
I line up everybody before so that I feel confident to go look for that deal. Okay. Like, cause I want to do a subject to, I want to go find it. Okay.
Oh, man.
But I don't have that cash laying around to do that deal. So I'm lining up my money sources so that I'm confident now I can go look for that deal.
So are you telling me you are going to be an attorney that actually does what they say?
Yes. And I'll tell you this too. Both of my rental properties, I kind of purchased that way. I found great deals. I put the offer in. I was terrified. And I said, I'll figure it out. I've got 30 days to find the money.
Wow.
And I immediately started networking with everybody I knew and all my bankers and different people. Like, I need money in 30 days. What are we doing? I went to family, whoever I went to. I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like that 30-day panic. So for me, I now know I'm not putting an offer on a place unless I have everything figured out. But then I'm confident to make my offer.
Yes.
Right? So you have to kind of be at peace with who you are as a person. Are you going to be a more conservative person, or are you going to be all in and go big or go home and figure it out? And it's okay to be either. You have to go with what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for not letting me feel like I'm doing something crazy out here.
No, not at all. And you know what though? You're learning every step of the way by doing it that way, right? Because every time you've done that, you've learned some tip how to do it better next time. And I'm behind you on that because I've been very conservative, right?
Nice.
So having a good mentor really helps.
Okay, so you got the vacuum cleaner. Good gracious, I'm not in the studio. Can you hear?
Do you want to ask any questions on contingency stuff?
Let's do this. Yeah, let's go to Q&A. Even 30 minutes. Realist, thank you for your love offering. He had a question about the memorandum. Realist. What did you have on the memorandum, Real? Oh, I saw it.
So you basically just take the contract for sale that you, the buyer and the seller have signed, and you file it at the county clerk's as basically putting any potential buyers on notice. When they do their title search, it'll show up.
Yep.
And then when the deal is closed, you're gonna file the satisfaction of that contract, and title to the property will be changed and all that. The deed will be changed.
I record without exception, Jessica. Every deal we do, I get a memorandum and we get it notarized. Same thing as the contract. But let me ask you, are you paying recording fees on the purchase price on that contract, Jessica, up there?
No, you're just paying a small fee to file the probably similar to your memorandum, a small fee just to file the document. You don't pay the real money until you close on it.
It has to be notarized, class. Don't be walking down there to the courthouse with no docs that's not notarized. They're gonna laugh at you.
Right.
They're gonna be like, you crazy. Class, if you want us to get to your question first, go ahead and do a super chat. I'll bring it right up to the top. Class, this is so cool. Stephen wants to know, when you get a property under contract, do you have to show up for the closing?
If it's in your name, yeah, you have to show up and sign. You have to sign the documents for the closing. If you're, I'll say this, you can give your attorney the authority to sign for you, which I've seen happen. And you can also give somebody power of attorney to come and sign on your behalf. So if you're not coming, you have to give somebody legal authority to sign on your behalf.
Yep. And we use trust, so I haven't been to a closing shit, man. It's been years.
Your appointed trustee does that for you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in Jamaica, wherever. I got my phone. I just look at the HUD. I'm like, we're done.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that are we getting on the same page on trust? Almost.
Yes.
Yeah, almost
oh
there.
My God. I love that concept. That's going to be my next thing. Yeah.
You want to just give me 30 seconds about your epiphany.
Well, my epiphany was, as an attorney in New York, I knew that you can't do what's called a land trust in New York. There's only like 7 states that have an actual statute for land trust. That being said, I know that there's a lot of very successful real estate investors who say you can do a land trust in every state. And so it took me a while to figure it out. And it's just that you're basically doing what's called a simple grantor trust, a revocable trust, which we have in New York, every state. It's basically just an estate planning tool. It's just that, like I've said before, it's again, just helping you stay anonymous. It's not going to give you any liability protection. So, but at least now I know I could do that trust, that grantor trust, keep the thing anonymous. And then my LLC can be my beneficiary for the liability protection.
Oh,
and I'm like, my mind is blown. Mind is blown. I can't wait to tell people about it. Because I do a lot of landlord consulting. Like they'll call me to deal with tenant issues or lawsuit issues. I want to tell them all about this issue.
I love it, Jessica. We'll leave that alone for now. We'll get back to that at a later time.
You know what question I have for you, though? I do want us to do maybe next Friday. How you pick the appointed trustee. That's what I want to explain. So let's save that for another video.
Yeah, we could go over that all day. I got chill bumps when you sent me that email the other day. I'm like, I just want to give you a hug.
And it was like, I watched one video after another, like YouTube videos for an hour and a half.
All right.
It was great.
Sean, the Haskins effect. Yes, Billy wants some screen time is very true. Maybe Billy wants to be on the freaking internet. Steven, how do you explain how to fill out the deal insurance? Steven wants to know, how do you explain? Well, I'll put that on Jessica first. Jessica, being that I'm older, been in the business since 2004, right? I was wholesaling, right? Then my sellers start to back out on me, right? So I literally created a memorandum. I didn't even know what a memorandum of contract was. I talked to about 7 attorneys, right? Taking different pieces from each one. I created a memorandum to record. I didn't have a mentor on that. So literally I called it, and I call it my deal insurance.
Okay.
So it's like I teach, you got to have your deal insurance along with your contract. So you don't do the memorandum, you just record the contract itself.
Yes, right.
Arco, so Stephen, with me, I guess I have to answer that. I wanted Jessica, but she's not doing the memorandum. She's literally recording the contract. You can do that too, as long as you mark out, please, you're marking out the terms, no doubt. I wouldn't want to put that on record. But right. Stephen, how do I explain it to him? I just say, Miss Smith, I walk up to him like this. Miss Smith, this document right here says you agree to sell me a house and I'm gonna buy it from you. Is that okay? Sign right here. Not once have I had a seller say no. Not once.
Right. And why would they? They're agreeing to it.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they ask, they say, well,
And that's a great way of explaining it. It's like an insurance policy for you. That's a great way to explain it.
insurance. And they say, well, what is that? I'm like, well, I have to prove that you are who you are. And that's when it gets notarized, I can say that you are Miss Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Chris he says his attorney created another disclosure to hire an attorney. Good gracious. That's terrible, Chris. Well, you gotta get an attorney to explain to you to hire an attorney. That's wow. Oh, class, please make sure you smash the like button while I'm reading through here. Please smash, you too, Jessica, if you got a minute, smash the like button for optimization purposes.
Okay.
Trump, I don't know anything about that. Why y'all talking about Trump on my feed? Y'all supposed to be talking about contract contingency. So what contingencies could you place in the contract to avoid all this from happening? I don't know.
Well, I feel like we kind of outlined that.
Yeah, we
You
got
want to, and the other thing too is think about who's going to hold the deposit. Who's going to be your escrow agent?
There you go.
Okay. So you want it to be somebody that's on your side, right?
Well, for our viewers don't even know what an escrow agent is, go ahead and hit it.
So there's got to be a responsible party to hold the deposit money, almost like a neutral person. Okay. So like in New York, the seller's attorney is typically going to be the escrow agent. You're going to give them the deposit. They put it in their attorney trust account and then it gets credited towards your closing price. If you are doing these subject to deals, maybe you don't have an attorney involved. That's on, whatever I noticed you seem to have like an escrow agent, like maybe individual companies that do it. But like if I'm involved in this deal, I would be the escrow agent. And it's just a fancy way of saying, I'm going to be legally responsible to hold this money. If there's a dispute, we agree. What are the conditions to get it back? Right. And what are the conditions to not get it back?
Yes. So how about, go ahead.
So in a standard buy sell, the seller's attorney is typically going to keep the deposit as the escrow agent. When you're doing these subject to deals, the seller half the time doesn't even have a lawyer. So you can use your attorney, right? Or a neutral person willing to be the agent for you.
So how about giving earnest money to a seller, Jessica? What would you say if someone were to say, I want to give my seller $1,000 earnest money deposit?
I would say that's risky. If, unless you have this contract in place that's clearly outlines what happens if they run off with it and don't close.
Risky.
What happens if they die before you can close? What if that deposit was contingent on you having the clear title, the clear inspections, all that stuff? Now you're going to have to ask them to give it back. I would never give a seller, give them the deposit at the closing table or have a neutral agent hold on to that money.
Thank you. Class, she's dropping some knowledge that was worth the price of admission. Jessica, I used to walk around giving sellers $1,000 checks. $1,000 checks when I used to do deals back in 05, 06, because I figured, let me give this big earnest money so they would believe me, And I'm like, one time I made the check out to the title company and I gave it to the seller. He still cashed it, Jessica.
Oh, man.
He still was able to cash it somehow.
Yeah, because keep in mind, these people are desperate. They need money. They're so motivated. So the risk of theft is huge.
Yeah. So don't ever, Jessica, that was so gold. That's in my contract here. I didn't go over it, but earnest money to be held by escrow agent class. You better not be giving no money to the seller ever. Well, not ever, when they sign the contract for earnest money. Paul J, what up, dog? How do you transfer your house to an LLC? Oh, I love this one. Go ahead, Jay. You want to do that one?
Yeah. So this is basically what I do. You're going to redeed the property from your personal name into the name of the LLC. You record that new deed with the county clerk, and really important, notify your insurance carrier that the owner of the property now is different, because you don't want them to disclaim your insurance, because you've changed ownership without notifying them.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, that comes up all the time. Every mortgage has what's called a due on sale clause. Okay. When you transfer the property from your name to the LLC name, there's a risk that the mortgage company can say, I want to recall my loan. Okay. Now, I know most people will tell you that the bank is never going to do that. It's not worth their time or money. Yes, it's a possible risk, but it's not likely to happen. Okay. Again, I'm a conservative person. If my bank turns around and says, you've got 30 days to pay off this note because you changed the deed without my permission, are you going to be able to come up with that money to keep the property? Now, again, like if you're doing these subject to deals, maybe you don't care because you've got no money, invested in the property. But for me, if it's my rental property, I'm really concerned that I'll have to refinance the property or get a new mortgage company. So, and also keep in mind, not all banks do commercial loans. Okay. An LLC is now a commercial loan. It's not a private loan. So if you have these great rates as like, an FHA loan, or you had all these like low down payment loans, all these government programs that you can get in your personal name, some banks, like I'll give you an example, Wells Fargo does not do commercial loans. Okay. So if my mortgage is with Wells Fargo and they've given me a mortgage in my personal name, I transfer to my LLC, they're going to find out because I have to notify my insurance company. Okay. My insurance company is going to notify the mortgage holder. So it will eventually catch up with them. May take 6 months, may take a year, but it will eventually catch up. And they are not going to be willing to hold that mortgage for my LLC because they don't do commercial loans. So when you switch from personal to LLC, check with your bank first to make sure they will, they do commercial loans. Will they agree to modify the name? Like maybe they don't care. As long as you're paying the mortgage, they don't care. Most banks could care less as long as the mortgage is being paid. But I always tell my clients that risk is there. So the transfer is so easy. Redeed the property, notify your insurance company, done.
It's over.
It's over.
That's the answer that I was.
But right, I told you I'm very conservative. Here's the other thing too. When you transfer the deed to your LLC, you want your tenants and your leases, right, to be redone to reflect the LLC. Again, I come from a liability perspective. Okay, so most people are putting their property in an LLC to shield their assets. Okay, if your lease is in your personal name, if the rent is going into your personal bank account, you're not getting that liability protection. So if you go to the effort to create the LLC and do the deed transfer, the next step is make sure your tenants know that the rent has to be sent to this new bank account named LLC. You have to re-sign your lease, name of LLC, follow through on all those little pieces.
Paul J, that was the attorney brain. Make sure you got everything straight answered.
I know.
I'm cool with it. Paul, I'm going to hit it for 30 seconds and we gone.
Yeah.
Transferring or selling a house class is nothing but the deed going from here to here. Has nothing to do with all this money that America has intertwined. It's nothing to do with all that stuff, in my opinion. I'm not speaking for Jessica. However, when you transfer it over, even if you put it in the LLC, Paul J, you don't have, Jessica's saying that you have to notify the insurance company. Yes. However, you can put your LLC as an additional payee. You don't have to be the main person on it. It can be so many ways around that also. But that's not what your question was. You wanted to know, how do you transfer it over? We talked about all it is a deed. All that insurance stuff is secondary. Yeah. I'm glad you.
I give way too much information. I know. TMI.
No, I'm glad you did that. But now everybody, once again, they're like, oh shit, insurance. I mean, do I get to do that? I mean, I don't know. Dude, I have real estate, Jessica, where I have 2 insurance policies on it. One is just for the seller with their seller loan bank to keep the bank happy, which I would never claim. And another policy in my name because I own the house. No, I'm not going to try to claim both of them if the house burns down. I will claim my policy. I'm keeping the one in place. You know, I'm saying there's so many layers to this where you can protect yourself, Paul J. And Jessica is right, you know, the way she's breaking it down. But you only ones to know how to transfer it. It's nothing but a deed.
Yeah, just a simple deed transfer.
So we both agree to that, right, Jessica?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
but I think I get caught up in there's so much more to the answer than just doing that, right? Because then I want people to know all the steps that go after that.
Well, I think that's great, but I think that my God-given gift and my superpower is to make it give you information that's bite-sized. They can chew it, Jay. So we give them the Big Mac sandwich. First thing we gotta get the deed, but you can't do none of that until you get the deed done.
Yeah. Yep.
You know? All right, so we're done. Paul J, go get the deed, dog, and Jessica can draft the deed for you. I mean, let me ask you, can you do a deed? I mean, it's.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do. But I'm doing stuff in New York. If you ever have, if anybody has questions and they're in New York, I'm happy to answer their questions. They can email me.
And any other questions that they email you will be for educational purposes only, Jay? Are you doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, in terms of my legal skills, I can only practice in New York because that's where I'm licensed. So I can do legal work for you in New York, but I'm happy to answer questions if they live outside of New York.
Okay.
But I just may not know the answer specific to their state. But for educational purposes, happy to answer a question.
Wayne, my email is in the chat box there, brother, for your docs. Chris buys houses at Gmail.
All right, I got time for one more. I got a phone call at 5 I have to jump on, so.
Oh my goodness. Tanya, she can't hire you. Tanya, you can't hire her in Vegas, right, Jessica?
No, unfortunately. I'll say this, for legal work, no. If she just needs a consultant to talk about, landlording ideas or property and stuff like that, absolutely. I can consult for her.
Gotcha. Sean Hoggart. Oh, wants to know why you land trust. Yeah, you know that. You can't do New Jersey, right, Jay?
No.
With Tanya. Penman East. If you just email me, I'll help you with your land trust stuff. I fell through. Terrell Fairley wants to know, does the irrevocable trust offer better protection, Jessica?
No, irrevocable trust is an estate planning tool for Medicare purposes, Medicaid purposes. It's very dangerous. An irrevocable trust means that you cannot, once you put the property in it, you can't get it out. Okay. So it's an asset shielding tool that people do so that they can qualify for Medicaid.
Wow.
Nobody should do one of those without consulting an attorney.
Wow, yeah. Irrevocable scares me to death.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Jessica, that's it. Tanya, thank you. Tanya got a super chat question. I guess that's it. I think you answered her question. I think she's in New York too. All right, final thoughts on contingencies today, Jay, and then you're gone.
Final thoughts would be make sure you have more than less. Put everything in there that protects you. They can always cross out things if they want, but make sure you have all those important contingencies.
jmeproperties@gmail.com is your email, Jay?
JME Properties LLC at Gmail.
The baddest attorney on the internet. All right, Jessica, I'm going to finish with some other Q&A.
Excellent. I'm going to go. You guys have a great weekend.
All right, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Class, I'm going to do some quick Q&A, and then Jessica's gone. She got a client to talk to. Class, that was so nice. I hope that you are enjoying and receiving the value that I pray that I'm bringing you, this value. I learned what value was many, many years ago. How much value can we bring? My mission and my ministry to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. I have experts that back me up. If I ever get into a problem or in bind, I can send a text message to certain attorneys, title companies, and figure out the problem right now. And prayerfully, I'm able to offer that service to you, bring it to you too, so you can ask questions. You guys should have more questions. This is golden. You got an attorney here. I'm fronting the bill for you to talk to him for free. So you get your questions. Next Friday, I guess we're going to be going back over land trust. And she said she wanted to talk about, I can't remember what it was. All right. Any other questions? And then I'm gone. Any questions you got? Yeah, just go back, rewind the video. If you need documents, please email me. If you need land trust subject to my doc package, lease option stuff, I'll email you all the links for that. How long did it take me to get my first deal? REI necessities. Where you at? Where you at? REI necessities. Where you at? Oh, if you need the addendum too, if you need my deal insurance, you better have it. How long did it take me to get my first deal? I would say I started looking, over a year. I started looking at 03. Let me tell you what happened with me. REI necessities. I was in the music business, right? Cranking away, making music. We're making some okay money, but then I noticed I would spend it all. I had a more month at the end of the money, right? And I'm like, I need to get into a business that goes up in value as opposed to everything else that I know goes down, including my outgo. All gone. I was broke down to $80. That's when I started kind of looking around for different businesses to join. It took me over a year, brother, to get my first deal. But constantly, I had the opportunity to look every day, all day. I'm constantly looking for deals. At that time, I was still in the music business getting publishing checks. So I was able to take my time as opposed to transfer from making tracks to looking for houses. So I'm looking at houses morning to night, driving for dollars. I spent thousands of hours driving for dollars because there was no internet searches back then, right? It was barely even city assessment back then, back in 03, so it took me over a year, REI necessities. So, and I know some clients and some people I know take them years to get their first house. Don't feel bad. You 5 months in, yeah, that ain't nothing, dog. That ain't nothing. The addendum, yes, you better have your deal insurance or you're in trouble. Chris, how do you work with her being that you're in VA? Truly gifted. How do I work with Jessica? I personally do not care about where she's licensed at. She has this thinker brain, Ron LeGrand calls it a thinker brain. I don't have that. I kind of go out there and do stuff and then go back to Jessica to kind of clean it up, or people like her. So it's not necessarily that we don't do business. It's the law is the law is the law. Now, it might be worded differently here, but if I have an issue, I know I can get an attorney on the line quickly. And Jessica is one of our newsletter contributors. So she writes a monthly newsletter every month, and that'll be coming out next week. And yeah, so that's why I like dealing with her too. She's in her spirit, she's more conservative. So if I say we're gonna do a subject to deal, she's finally wrapping her brain around that, right? So she's I firmly believe that yin and yang. I'm out here, I'm loose cannon, and she's like, well, I don't know, let's take a look at this and see what's going on. So it kind of works for me, It works for me. Yvonne, you want some coaching? Just email me. I'm at Chris Buys Houses. T-Real, Chris, do you do anything to go right? Oh, if you want, you can get my contracts. My purchase and sale agreement comes with the deal insurance document. So if you want my deal insurance, I'll give it to. It comes with that. You have a contract as a guide. Yes, just email me, and I'll send you the link for my deal insurance and my purchase and sale agreement. T-Real, stop being nervous. It's just not going to work. It doesn't work like that. Elaine, you got to email me. I'm not going to go through here. You got to email me at chrisbuyshouses@gmail if you want any of my documents. Class, I want to talk to you today before I leave you. So much philosophy. I want to create a framework for you. I challenge you. I urge you. Not only, Sire, her email is in the chat box. It's JME Properties LLC. Paul J took a year for his first deal too. I want to create a framework for you for the future, not only of your real estate business, but business in general. Don't forget, class, I'm a real estate guy to the death. This is what I do for a living. I buy and sell houses. I do lease options, owner financing, renovations, all that crap. That's the world that I live in. However, I want to create a framework for you that real estate is just one business. One business. So make sure you're keeping your options open for, oh, thank you. Truly gifted. Let me put that in there. I appreciate that. Jamie, property. Yeah. Thank you. Don't forget, keep your mind open as this tidal wave. I don't know if you can feel this, class, but there is a tidal wave coming like this, and it is massive. The mobile internet. If you can't capitalize on this vision that I'm doing here, everywhere I go, this is what I see. Everywhere I go, whether if I go to the bathroom, movies, I'm at the gym today working out, people like this on the machine. I'm like, dude, how you gonna work out on a machine? You on a damn phone. You need to be working out. Everywhere I go, driving the car, go to church, literally sitting on my couch. My wife, family, they're all like this. My brother, look, everybody, this is the silhouette. This is where our society is going to. I want you to take a picture of this because I want you to just you to remember this time, class. Real estate is great. I want you to focus on it. It's just one business. How can you use this to get your real estate popping? I promise you, this tidal wave of mobile internet. The reason it's happening now, based on the little research that I've been doing, is because the internet has been around for a while, but now we got the internet right here. We have it right here, so we can get it anywhere. Like I know you've seen my channel. No doubt you've watched my matriculation. Thank you, Hampton University. You watched my matriculation moving over time, and you've seen me around the country doing videos right on my phone, class. So I am using the internet to bring you massive value on real estate investing. Prayerfully, that will help you to buy your next house is my goal, is my mission to get you in the real estate business. But don't limit yourself just to either you're doing direct mail, get on this internet, class. I didn't answer you. Rashida, what question did you have? You're killing me. Type it in, Rashida. I mean, type it in so I'll answer it before I cut out of here. There's a tidal wave coming, class. I have seen it. I'm seeing people do business transactions 24 hours a day. It's like a crank. It's just cranking all day. And if you're under the old mindset, the dinosaur mindset, hey guys, the dinosaur mindset, I won't get too deep into it now, but I just want to urge you, how can you take advantage of the silhouette right here? The silhouette. And I know you've all seen it. Shit, people getting into car accidents everywhere. You can say what up. People are getting into car accidents. People are smashing up cars because they're texting. Everybody's on the phone. So just think about, and literally I'm seeing it now. People are text messaging, people doing deals. I'm text messaging sellers, not even calling them anymore. Hey, Baba. Hey, guys. You can say hello, go ahead. There you go. You say, hey, Bubba want to say hello. Bubba got to say hello when she come in.
Hello.
Bubba want to say hello. All right, go take the dogs out, please. Class, Rashida, can you close with the title company subject to package? Yes, Rashida, absolutely. That's what I do. Can I do a subject to deal on a VA loan? Yes, you can do a subject to on a VA loan. Class, please don't misconstrue the idea that the loan has anything to do with the house. We buy and sell houses all the time with that same loan. It can transfer from different owner to owner to owner to owner. The loan has nothing to do with. She got hit by a car? The loan has nothing to do with the title of the property. I can sell my house to anybody I want. If you have a hard time grasping this concept, just think about when a loved one passes away. The family is allowed to take that title and take that house over so they can transfer that house to their heirs, right? There is no different. You're transferring ownership of the house down to the new owner. That's all. You're just not an heir. You are a business person. Anthony, what is a subject to deal? Just go back through my channel. A subject to deal is where we buy the house and we take over the existing mortgage payments. We're buying the house subject to the existing loan. Anthony, you could just email me or go to my channel, brother. I got hours and hours and hours and hours of subject to deals with clients all around the country. All right, class. One last thing I wanted to leave you with. I wanted to talk to you very briefly before I let you go. I know it's Friday. You're getting ready to get your chill. You're getting your chill on. I wanted to talk to you about amortization. 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 How does it look? Looks like this, right? That's an amortization table almost, right? So when you first get a loan, right? Let's just say up to about right here, all of this is interest. But stay with me because I'm going to have to work this. I don't want to lose you. I'm talking about amortization, but I'm not talking about money here. Stay with me. Amortization. I was getting my Gary Vee on the other day. He's talking about amortization. When you first get a home loan, let's say it's $100,000. Stay with me, class. The first 15 to 20 years is the majority interest. Maybe 22 years is majority interest, right? So you're getting almost no pay down for the first 2 decades. If you have a 30-year mortgage, all right? I want you to think about your business in the same way. In the beginning, all you're doing is paying interest. Wham, you're putting in work, massive work. You're getting no immediate benefits. You're getting no amortization on your business, on your business life. You're not seeing any returns. I've got loans that I got back in the early 2000s where I'm down here, right? So once we cross this line, the majority of our monthly payment goes towards principal. So that loan gets paid down faster. But if you're just starting in this business, whether it's this or any other business, the first part of it is going to be the hardest because you're amortizing the monthly work that you're doing every week. You're starting to amortize your business. So why in the heck would you expect at the very beginning to just be this super duper? People think they're going to get in 6 months and crush it and just be millionaire. It just doesn't. Yes, it can happen. It can happen, class. But your business life is amortized. So at the beginning of your loan or at your business, all you're paying is interest, interest. Years are going to go by. And then when you cross that barrier, wham. I have loans now where the 90% of my monthly payment goes towards principal. So I'm paying down my loans so much faster. It's unbelievable how it works. Amortization, same thing in business. All right. So just remember that. Remember the amortization factor in your business. Shit's not easy when you're starting off, class. It's just not gonna be. Truly gifted. You got Rashida. This lady is taking forever to sign a contract. She's only behind 4 months. Oh, you in trouble. That thing's gonna be going to foreclosure soon. Tamara, what do you say?
I'm just listening.
What you laughing at that one?
Because you said she ain't signed in 4 months.
Oh, you're in trouble, dog. Tamara is laughing at you.
It should like at least 30 days, right? Ain't that like the
Foreclosure? No, she can get. I mean, you never know what they're gonna do, but 4 months is rough.
yeah.
Rashida, you need to put some fire behind her. You need to call her or
Be persistent.
be persistent. Yeah, or you could text. How do you get? You know what? I got clients around. You know, I've heard this so many times. How do I get a seller? How do I make the seller sign the paperwork? Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. However, let me tell you what I did. I recommend. Get personal with these sellers, Rashida. How I bought so many houses that I get personal with people. Say, for instance, you could go over there, take them to lunch, take them to coffee, go visit them, hang out with them. I remember one time I mailed a seller a whole packet of pictures that I found in the house that I was buying for them. It kind of sped them up a little bit. You know, and you're not doing this to manipulate anybody, but you just want to be kind. The more you give, it will be given unto you. You know, the good book says it. I don't know why it works like that. But Rashida, you need to I recommend finding a way you can give to this seller if she won't sign a contract. And sometimes it's not money because money doesn't motivate everybody. It motivates me, but some people, I mean, they might want a chicken sandwich or something. I don't know. You never know. They might want you to take them to lunch. I've done that too. Show up at the house. Hey, I remember the dude, Mike. Mike, you mind if I take you to lunch? Took him to Subway. God loved me, signed the contract. Last question, brother Chris. Will you ever consider doing a live cold call or doing a video on cold calling? I guess I could do that. Okay, I will consider that. Cold calling sellers, trying to convert them into lease options, no doubt. Realist. Thank you for supporting my channel, brother. Sean, you got to crawl. Rashida only talking to only talking to her. Oh, through the realtor. Oh shit, yeah, you're in trouble with that. Okay, class. So much I want to give you, but I got to get to the kids. Anything else? Okay, I'll see you next time. Love you. Don't forget to subscribe. Please, class, subscribe to my channel. Smash the like button, and we'll see you next time. Matter of fact, I got a live coaching session coming up either later this evening or tomorrow. God bless you. See you soon. Bye.